Good morning, students. I'm Dr. P. Vinod Kumar, Professor, Department of Forensic Medicine at Sree Balaji Medical College, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research, Chennai. So today I'm going to talk about role of doctor in a scene of crime. So crime scene investigation. So what is the crime? The word crime is derived from the Latin root cerno, meaning I decide, I give judgment. Crime is a breach of rules or laws for which some governing authority, by mechanisms such as legal systems, can ultimately prescribe a conviction. The goal of crime scene investigation is to recognize, document, and collect evidence at a scene of crime. Corpus delicti, or the body of crime. So the authorities must prove that a crime has occurred, that the person charged with the crime was responsible for the crime. What are the main reasons or top reasons for committing a crime? Whether it's money, revenge, emotion, love, hate, or anger, and source of evidence. That is a body of evidence, the primary or secondary crime scene evidences, and the suspect or suspects. So Locard's exchange principle. According to this principle, when a person comes in contact with an object or another, the person material can be transferred from one object to the other. So there's more intense interactions result in greater exchange. The transferred material is also known as trace evidence. As you can see here, this is a hair observed in microscope. The lipstick over the cup, fingerprint, blood stains, spores seen in the microscope, glass pieces, material stuck on the shoes. So types of evidence. Direct evidence is the first-hand observations observed by the investigator. For example, the eyewitness accounts, video, etc. Circumstantial evidence, indirect physical or biological evidence that can link a person to a crime but don't directly prove guilt. For example, physical examples like bullets, weapons, fibers, tool marks seen at the scene of crime. Biological examples, body fluids, hair, plant parts, etc. So the crime scene investigation team comprises of police officers, crime scene investigators, recorders, sketch artists, photographers, evidence collectors, medical examiners, detectives, specialists. So based on the scientific method, the Locard exchange principle, logic, and forensic techniques, it involves a very important precise set of steps. So first is the goal to find the physical evidence. So there are 7 S of crime scene investigation. First S is to secure the scene of crime. So securing the scene of crime by cordoning off with the tape, the responsibility of the first responder, that may be the police, the investigating officer. It restricts the entrance to the scene, starts the log of all persons entering, may send for additional experts or officers. As you can see in the photograph, the scene of crime is cordoned off by the investigating officer. Second is to separate the witnesses. Separate and question the witnesses individually and ask them these questions. When did the crime occur? Who called it in? Who is the victim? Can the perpetrator be identified? What did you see happen? Where were you when you observed the scene of crime? Then scan the scene. Scanning the scene. Determine whether photos should be taken. Determine if the location is the primary crime scene where the crime occurred or a secondary location such as where a body was moved to. Seeing the scene and recording the scene. Take photos including closer pictures with or without rulers as scale. Digitize scene if possible. You can see the photographers taking photographs of various materials found at the scene of crime. You can never take too many photos of a crime scene. A death scene, there may be 200 to 500 shots taken from every possible angle of view. Victims and evidence must not be moved until they have been photographed from all necessary angles. Physical evidence is photographed with a scale to show its size and also its location relative to the entire scene. Use a 35mm single lens reflex camera and learn how to manipulate all its settings. Archive the original digital images and work with copies. A photo log must also be created with the date and time, camera settings, film roll number, exposure number, type of shot, distance to the subject, and brief description about the photograph. So these are guidelines for photographing a crime scene. The techniques being interior, use the corners of the room as guides, take overlapping shots, record all the doors and windows, attach camera to tripod so that a slower shutter speed can be used in low light to increase the depth of the field and decrease shadows. Outside exterior, record all structures, roads, paths, addresses, and street signs. Mid-range, record a sequential series of shots that highlight the physical evidence within the crime scene. Use flash to brighten details. Close-up shots, record using side lighting and documentation placards at first. If shadows are present, activate the flash. Take shots with and without a scale or ruler. Other ways to document the scene of evidence, scene of crime and evidence. Videography may be used to complement still photography. It is the best way to document the overall view of the scene. You must still record the locations of evidence in still photos. Record a running audio narrative, but this must be transcribed into a report. Sketching the scene. Drawn to scale. All objects should be measured from two immovable objects. Direction of the north should be included. Scale of drawing, date, and location should be mentioned. As you can see in this diagram, the house has been sketched, the various rooms, the bedroom, living room, kitchen, to the scale. Searching for evidence. Tools such as flashlights, UV lights, or vacuums may be used. Investigators walk patterns to avoid missing anything. Must be systematic and immediate. Investigator in charge is responsible. What to search for is determined by the circumstances of the crime. How to search. The search pattern depends on size and location of the scene and number of searches. So these are the various search patterns. This is a zone pattern, spiral, inward spiral pattern, grid pattern, parallel or horizontal pattern. Line or strip method is best in large outdoor scenes. Grid, basically a double line search, effective but time consuming. Zone, most effective in houses or buildings. Teams assigned specific zones for searching, like this. Spiral may move inward or outward. Best we use where there are no physical barriers. Securing and collecting evidence. Liquids and arson remains are stored in airtight, unbreakable containers. Biological evidence is placed in a breathable container to dry. After drying, biological evidence is transferred to a paper bundle and sealed in a bag. Documenting the scene. Documenting is the most important and time-consuming activity at the scene of crime because it shows evidence in the context of the scene of crime. It allows detectives and crime scene analysts to do a reconstruction of the corpus delicti or the scene of crime, body of crime. It helps create and maintain the chain of custody. It may become evidence in court. Notes, photographs, and diagrams are all used to document the scene of crime and location of physical evidence. Taking notes, describe everything, the location, weather, type of crime, and physical evidence. Make notes in ink in a bound notebook with pages numbered sequentially. Do not erase errors, cross them out with the pen. Make notations in chronological order. Evidence is documented by describing the type and condition of evidence, time of discovery, name of the discoverer, placement, collection, packaging, and labeling. Evidence log is complete listing of the case number, of item inventory number, case number evidence, description of the evidence, name of the suspect, name of the victim, date and time of recovery, signature of person recovering evidence, signature of witnesses to collection. So as you can see here in this photograph, the specimen pouch and the evidence tape and the chain of custody. So this is maintained so that the evidence is not contaminated. So chain of custody in court, all evidence will be subject to questions about the chain of custody. The chain starts with the evidence original discoverer. The chain is broken if movements are not documented that may result in evidence being excluded in court. So to preserve the chain of custody, making sure that investigator documents everything that happens to each piece of evidence or clue material at a scene of crime once it is delivered in the lab. Warrantless search. In case of emergency circumstances, need to prevent immediate loss or destruction of evidence. So without warrant, the investigating officer can search a person or property made incident to lawful arrest, search made by consent of involved parties, and circumstances defined by the Supreme Court. So if there's a body involved, then there is a scene of crime. So medical examiner in coroner. Medical examiner is usually a medical doctor, a pathologist, or forensic medicine expert appointed by the governing body of the area. Coroner is elected official who usually has no special medical training. So responsibility of medical examiners is to identify the deceased, establish the time and date of death, determine the medical cause of death, the injury or disease that resulted in the person dying, determine the mechanism of death, the physiological reason the person died, classify the manner of death, whether it's a natural cause, accidental, suicidal, homicidal, or undetermined. Then notify the next of kin of relatives. So beyond the crime scene, the medical examiner coroner will examine the victim to establish the cause and manner of death and preserve the tissues and organs for analysis. They may also collect some of the following victims' clothing, fingernail scrapings, body hairs, blood, vaginal, anal, and oral swabs, bullets, or other objects inside the body, gunshot residues or GSR, swabs from shooting victims, submitting evidence to the lab. Evidence should be sent directly to the lab to preserve the chain of custody. Chemicals, radiological agents, and explosives may be transported via UPS or FedEx. Once at the lab, the evidence is placed in secure storage areas and logged as to location. Analyze the evidence. After crime scene investigation, the forensic lab work begins. Test results lead to a scene of, that is, crime scene reconstruction. Test results can be used to identify staged crime scenes. So as Arthur Conan Doyle in the Boscombe Valley Mystery 1892 said, how simple it would have all been had I been there before they came like a herd of buffalo and wallowed all over it. Thank you.